The champagne bottle my wife Emily handed me felt ice cold against my palm, but not as cold as the look in her eyes when I told her I'd turned down the promotion. "You did what?" Her voice cracked like thin ice over deep water. "I said no to Boston," I repeated, watching her carefully manicured fingers tighten around her own glass. "We talked about this, Em. The kids are finally settled. Jake's starting high school next year, and Lily just made the travel soccer team. We agreed." "You agreed, Nathan." She set her glass down with enough force that wine sloshed over the rim. "I never agreed to anything. I just stopped arguing because you clearly weren't listening." That was Tuesday. By Friday, everything I thought I knew about my marriage had turned to ash. I'm Nathan Reeves, and I've been married to Emily for 16 years. We met in college. She was pre-law. I was engineering. Everyone said we balanced each other out. She was ambitious, driven, always pushing forward. I was the steady one, the planner who thought 3 moves ahead. We built what I thought was a good life in Minneapolis. A 4-bedroom colonial in Edina. 2 kids. A golden retriever named Biscuit. The whole American dream wrapped up in a mortgage and matching SUVs. I worked as a senior project manager at Hartwell Engineering. The money was solid, not spectacular but comfortable. Emily had passed the bar but never practiced, choosing instead to focus on the kids when they were young. She'd started doing real estate part-time 3 years ago, mostly showing houses to friends and their referrals. It kept her busy and brought in extra cash for vacations. Or so I thought. The promotion I'd turned down would have meant a 40% raise and relocation to our Boston office. On paper, it looked incredible. In reality, it meant uprooting Jake right before high school and taking Lily away from the soccer program she'd worked 2 years to join. When the offer came through, Emily had smiled and said we'd figure it out together. That Tuesday night conversation was the first time I realized we'd been having 2 completely different marriages. She didn't come to bed that night. I found her in the home office at 2 a.m. staring at her laptop screen with an intensity I hadn't seen in years. When I touched her shoulder, she jumped like I'd burned her. "Just finishing some listing paperwork," she said, closing the laptop too quickly. "Go back to bed." I should have paid attention to that moment. Should have asked why real estate paperwork required that kind of focus at 2 in the morning. But I was tired, and we'd just had a fight, and I figured she needed space. Wednesday, she barely spoke to me. Thursday, she stayed late showing a property, or so she said. I made dinner for the kids, spaghetti and meatballs, Jake's favorite, and tried to ignore the knot forming in my stomach. Friday changed everything. I left work early. My project team had just closed a major contract, and my boss told me to take the afternoon. I stopped at the fancy bakery Emily loved and picked up those French macarons she was always posting on Instagram. A peace offering. A way to start the conversation over. Maybe find some middle ground. The house was quiet when I got home at 3:30. Emily's car sat in the driveway, which surprised me. She'd mentioned a showing in Minnetonka that afternoon. I grabbed the bakery box and headed inside, already planning my apology for not discussing the promotion more thoroughly. Biscuit wasn't at the door, which was odd. He always greeted me like I'd been gone for years instead of hours. I set my keys in the bowl on the entry table and noticed Emily's heels kicked off near the stairs. Her good heels, the expensive ones she wore to important showings. Then I heard it. A sound that didn't belong in my house at 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. A man's laugh, low and familiar, coming from upstairs. My heart started doing something weird in my chest, this stuttering, irregular rhythm that made my hands feel numb. I set the bakery box down carefully, like I was defusing a bomb, and moved toward the stairs. "We have at least 2 hours," Emily's voice drifted down, slightly muffled. "Nathan never comes home before 6 on Fridays." The laugh again. "Good, because I'm nowhere near done with you." I knew that voice. I knew it the way you know your own reflection because I'd heard it at least twice a week for the past 8 months. Tyler Brennan. My best friend since college. The guy who'd been my best man. The guy who came over for poker nights and borrowed my tools and taught Jake how to throw a curveball. I stood at the bottom of the stairs for what felt like an hour, but was probably 30 seconds. Part of my brain was screaming at me to leave, to get in my car and drive until I hit an ocean. The other part, the engineer part that needed to verify data before drawing conclusions, forced my feet to move. Each step up those stairs felt like walking through concrete. I could hear them more clearly now. The bed springs. Emily's voice making sounds I hadn't heard in months, maybe years. Our bedroom door wasn't even fully closed. I pushed it open. They didn't notice me at first. They were too busy destroying 16 years of marriage on the bed where our kids were conceived. Tyler saw me first. His eyes went wide, and he scrambled backward so fast he fell off the bed. Emily turned, and for just a second, one crystalline, eternal second, I saw something in her face that wasn't shame or regret. It was annoyance. I stood in the doorway of my own bedroom, watching my wife scramble for the sheet while my best friend, former best friend, tried to simultaneously cover himself and retrieve his jeans from the floor. The white bakery box with its stupid pink ribbon felt obscene in my hand. "Nathan," Emily started. "Don't." The word came out flat. "Don't say my name right now." Tyler had managed to pull on his boxer briefs. He stood there, all 6'2" of him, the guy who'd helped me move into this house, who'd taught my son how to throw a curveball, and he couldn't meet my eyes. "How long?" I asked. Silence. Emily had wrapped the sheet around herself like armor. Her hair, which she'd spent 40 minutes straightening that morning, fell in waves around her shoulders. Bedroom hair. The thought made my stomach turn. "How long?" "6 months, Tyler said quietly. Emily shot him a look that could have stripped paint. "Tyler, he deserves to know." Tyler finally looked at me. "Nathan, 6 months. I repeated it, testing the words. 6 months of poker nights, 6 months of him sitting at my dinner table, 6 months of, "Hey man, want another beer," while he was sleeping with my wife. "You've been coming here twice a week for 8 months. "It wasn't like that at first," Emily said. She'd found her voice now, that crisp lawyer tone she used when she wanted to win an argument. "We were just talking. About the real estate market, about, I don't care." I set the bakery box on the dresser with deliberate care. The macarons inside shifted with a soft rustle. "I need you both out of my house in 20 minutes. "This is my house too," Emily said. "You can't just watch me." I pulled my phone from my pocket. 20 minutes, or I call the police and report a trespasser. Then I call Emily's parents. Then I call yours, Tyler. Then I start texting everyone in my contacts what I found at 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. Tyler went pale. "Nathan, please, can we just 19 minutes now." I walked out. Down the hallway past Lily's room with its soccer trophies, past Jake's with the baseball pennants Tyler had given him. Down the stairs, one hand on the railing because my legs felt unreliable, into the kitchen where I'd made spaghetti 2 nights ago, where we'd had breakfast as a family that morning, where everything was exactly as I'd left it, except nothing would ever be the same. I heard them upstairs, the urgent whispers, the scramble of movement. A drawer slammed. Emily's heels clicked across the hardwood. I sat at the kitchen table and opened my phone. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I pulled up my contacts and started with Emily's sister, Rachel. "Need to talk. Can you call me when you get this? It's urgent." Then Emily's parents. Same message. Then my own brother, David. Then Tyler's parents. His dad and I had golfed together last month. 12 minutes later, Emily appeared in the kitchen doorway. She'd dressed in the clothes she'd been wearing this morning. Tailored black pants, cream blouse, professional, put together. Like she was heading to show a house instead of fleeing the wreckage of our marriage. "We need to talk about the kids," she said. "We will, through lawyers." "Nathan, Be reasonable. I found you in bed with my best friend. Each word came out precise, controlled. In our bed, in the house where our children sleep. You don't get to tell me to be reasonable. She flinched. Good. I'll pick up Jake and Lily from school, I continued. I'll tell them you had an emergency showing. You'll stay somewhere else tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out how to tell them their mother destroyed our family. You're being dramatic. The laugh that came out of me sounded wrong. Tyler's still here. I can hear him upstairs. You have 8 minutes. She opened her mouth, closed it, turned and walked away. I heard her heels on the stairs again, more urgent whispers, then the front door opening and closing. Tyler's truck started in the driveway. I knew the sound of that engine. Then Emily's Lexus. Both of them, leaving together or separately, I didn't know and didn't care. The house settled into silence. I sat there for a long time, staring at the kitchen table. There was a water ring where Emily had set her coffee mug that morning, a crumb from Jake's toast. Normal things. Evidence of a normal Friday morning in a normal family. My phone started buzzing. Rachel first. Nathan, what's wrong? Is everyone okay? Everyone's alive, I said. But no, everyone's not okay. I came home early today and found Emily in bed with Tyler Brennan. The silence on the other end stretched for 5 full seconds. Then, what? I told her. Clinical details, no emotion. Found them at 3:30. They admitted to 6 months. I'd given them 20 minutes to leave. Oh my God. Nathan, I'm so sorry. Does she know you called me? No. And I need you to do something for me. I need you to tell your parents before Emily does. She's going to spin this, make it about the promotion, about me not being present enough, whatever story she needs to tell herself. I need them to hear the truth first. Of course, absolutely. What else do you need? Can you pick up Lily from soccer practice? It ends at 5. I'll get Jake from robotics club, but I don't want to explain to Lily why I'm getting both of them. Not yet. I'll be there. And Nathan? I'm here for whatever you need. Emily's my sister, but what she did... Her voice cracked. I'm so sorry. I made 3 more calls. My brother David, who offered to come over immediately. Tyler's father, whose voice went cold and hard when I told him. And finally, my attorney. Not a divorce attorney, just the guy who'd handled our house closing and our wills. He gave me 3 names. I called the first one and got an appointment for Monday morning. Then I sat in the silence again, watching the kitchen clock tick toward 4:15. In 45 minutes, I'd pick up Jake. I'd smile and ask about his day. I'd make dinner, something easy, maybe order pizza. I'd be normal dad, steady dad, the one who had everything under control. Tomorrow I'd start dismantling 16 years of marriage. But first I needed to check something. I went upstairs to the bedroom. The bed was a mess, sheets tangled, pillows on the floor. Emily's laptop sat on her nightstand. She'd left it. In her panic to get out, she'd forgotten the laptop she'd been so protective of at 2 in the morning. I opened it. No password. She'd never bothered with one at home. Her email was already open. The first message in her inbox was from Tyler, sent 3 days ago. Subject line, Tuesday? Can't wait to see you. En's got that site meeting until 4, right? I'll bring lunch. I scrolled down. Messages going back months. Some practical, running late, start without me, and some that made my jaw clench. Nothing explicit, but the intimacy was worse somehow. Inside jokes, pet names, plans coordinated around my schedule, my life, my oblivious existence. Then I found the folder. She'd labeled it property listings, but inside were documents. Apartment searches in Boston, job listings at law firms in Massachusetts, a draft email to a headhunter, never sent, dated 2 weeks before I'd turned down the promotion. My husband has been offered a position in Boston. I'm interested in returning to legal practice after a hiatus. I sat back, the laptop screen glowing in the dimming afternoon light. She'd wanted me to take the job. Not for us, not for the family. For her. So she could leave Tyler behind. Or maybe bring him along. Start over in a new city where no one knew us. And when I'd said no, when I'd chosen our kids' stability over her plan, she'd decided to have both. The affair and the familiar life. Me as the steady provider while Tyler gave her whatever I apparently wasn't. My phone alarm went off. 4:30. Time to get Jake. I closed the laptop and stood. In the mirror above Emily's dresser, I looked exactly the same as I had this morning. Same face, same hair going gray at the temples, same lines around my eyes. But everything underneath had shifted, like a building after an earthquake. Still standing, but the foundation cracked straight through. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. Time to go be someone's father. The one role I still knew how to play. The traffic on Highway 100 moved like sludge. Every red light felt deliberate, conspiring to delay me. I'd texted Jake from the driveway, "Coming to get you, wait out front," and gotten back a thumbs-up emoji. No questions. That would come later. My hands were steady on the wheel. That surprised me. I'd expected them to shake, expected some physical manifestation of the bomb that had detonated in my chest 2 hours ago. Instead, I felt eerily calm. Functional. The engineer in me had already started building compartments. This goes here, that goes there. Deal with it in order. Jake was waiting on the curb when I pulled up, backpack slung over one shoulder, basketball tucked under his arm. 13 years old and already nearly my height. He had Emily's dark hair, my build. He climbed in and immediately knew something was wrong. "You okay, Dad?" "Rough day at work." The lie came easily. "Thought we could grab dinner, just us." He studied me with those sharp eyes, Emily's eyes, then nodded. "Sure. Where's Mom picking up Lily?" "Your Aunt Jennifer's getting her. She's got practice until 6 anyway." I'd called Jennifer from the driveway. Emily's younger sister, the one who'd never particularly liked me but who loved her niece and nephew more than anything. I'd kept it simple. "Emily and I are separating. I need you to get Lily from soccer and keep her tonight. I'll explain everything tomorrow." She'd started to ask questions, but I'd cut her off. "Please, Jen, I just need tonight to talk to Jake. Then I'll tell you everything." Something in my voice must have convinced her. She'd agreed. We ended up at Chipotle because Jake suggested it, and I couldn't think clearly enough to propose anywhere else. We sat in a corner booth, and I watched him demolish a burrito bowl while I pushed rice around my own. "You're not eating," he said. "Not hungry." "You never skip meals." He set down his fork. "What's actually going on?" I looked at my son, my kid who could read defenses on a basketball court, who'd inherited my ability to see patterns, and knew I couldn't wait, couldn't sugarcoat it. He'd know if I tried. "Your mom and I are getting divorced." The word hung there. Divorced. I'd never said it out loud before. It tasted like copper. Jake's face went carefully blank. That's how I knew he was processing, working through the implications. Because of the Boston thing? That's part of it. What's the other part? I'd thought about this on the drive over. How much to tell him. How much truth a 13-year-old could handle. But Jake deserved better than lies. Better than the sanitized version Emily would probably try to spin later. "Your mom's been seeing someone else, Uncle Tyler." His fork clattered against the bowl. "Uncle Tyler? Like, Uncle Tyler?" "Yeah. That's..." He stopped, started again. "How long?" 6 months, maybe longer. "But he was just at our house last week. You guys played poker." "I know." Jake pushed his bowl away, appetite gone. "Does Lily know?" Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. He nodded slowly, and I watched him age about 5 years in the span of 30 seconds. The kid who'd been excited about high school tryouts this morning was gone, replaced by someone harder. Someone who just learned that people you trust can gut you. What happens now? He asked. I'm filing for divorce. Your mom will need to find somewhere else to live. You and Lily will stay with me in the house. What if she fights that? Smart kid. She can try, but I've got evidence and I've already talked to a lawyer. That last part was a lie, but it would be true by Monday morning. You two are my priority. That's not changing. He was quiet for a long time, staring at the table. Then, is this why you didn't take the promotion? The question caught me off guard. What? You and Mom were fighting about it. I heard you. She wanted to move, you didn't. He looked up at me. Was it because you knew? No, I didn't know until today. I turned it down because I didn't want to uproot you guys. You've got school, Lily's got soccer. I would have been fine in Boston. The words hit harder than they should have. Jake, I'm just saying, you didn't have to give up the job for us. We're not little kids. It wasn't about that. It was about... I stopped. Tried to find the right words. I wanted to keep our family stable, keep everything together. But it fell apart anyway. Yeah, it had. We sat there in silence while the restaurant buzzed around us. Families ordering dinner, couples on dates, normal people living normal lives, unaware that ours had imploded. Finally, Jake said, "Can we go home? We're staying at a hotel tonight. I already got a room." Why? Because I need some time before I go back to that house. He understood. Nodded. We threw away our barely touched food and drove to a Hampton Inn off 494. I'd booked 2 queens, though I doubted either of us would sleep much. In the room, Jake claimed the bed nearest the window and pulled out his phone. I sat on the other bed and finally let myself check my own. 17 missed calls from Emily, 12 texts. I deleted them all without reading. 3 calls from Tyler. Deleted. 1 voicemail from Jennifer. Got Lily. She's fine. Call me when you can. I called. Nathan. Jennifer's voice was tight. What the hell is going on? Exactly what I said. Emily and I are separating. Lily's asking questions. She wants to know why she can't go home. Tell her there's a plumbing emergency. Tell her whatever you need to. I'll talk to her tomorrow. Nathan. Please, Jen. Just one more night. Then I'll explain everything. She exhaled hard. Fine. But you owe me answers. You'll get them. I hung up and found Jake watching me from his bed. You're really not going to talk to her? Your mother? Yeah. Not tonight. She's probably freaking out. Probably. He processed that. Good. The venom in his voice surprised me. I'd expected confusion, sadness, maybe anger at the situation, but this was directed, specific. Jake, she cheated on you, Dad. With Uncle Tyler. In our house. His jaw was tight. She doesn't get to freak out. She doesn't get to be the victim. I wanted to tell him not to hate his mother. That was the right thing to do, wasn't it? The mature, co-parenting thing. But I couldn't make the words come, because he was right. Instead, I said, "You're allowed to be angry." I am angry. He turned away, facing the window. I'm really angry. We didn't talk much after that. Jake plugged in his headphones and stared at his phone. I lay on my bed and stared at the ceiling, counting the minutes until I could reasonably pretend to sleep. At some point, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Tyler. Please, let me explain. I blocked it. Another buzz. Another unknown number. Nathan, we need to talk. This isn't what you think. E. She'd borrowed someone's phone. Smart. I blocked that one too. The thing was, I didn't need explanations. I didn't need their side of the story. I'd seen everything I needed to see in that bedroom. Emily's face when she realized I was standing there. Not guilt, not shame, but annoyance. Like I'd interrupted something important. Like I was the inconvenience. And Tyler, scrambling off my bed, reaching for his jeans, saying my name like we were still friends. Like 20 years of friendship gave him the right to my understanding. They could explain until they were blue. It wouldn't change what they'd done. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a number I recognized. My brother, David. Jennifer called me. What's going on? I stared at the text. David lived in Duluth with his wife and 2 kids. We talked maybe once a month, saw each other at holidays. But he was family. Real family, not the kind that betrayed you. I typed back, Emily's been having an affair with Tyler. I'm filing for divorce. 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Jesus Christ, are you okay? No, but I will be. What do you need? The question caught me off guard. What did I need? A time machine. A different wife. A best friend who wasn't a backstabbing piece of garbage. Just needed you to know. I'll call you tomorrow. I'm here if you need anything. Seriously. I set the phone down and closed my eyes. Across the room, Jake had fallen asleep with his headphones still in, phone clutched in one hand. 13 years old and already learning that the people you love most can destroy you without warning. I'd protect him from this. Him and Lily both. Whatever it took. Emily wanted a divorce? She'd get one. But it would be on my terms. The hotel breakfast buffet smelled like burned coffee and institutional scrambled eggs. Jake pushed hash browns around his plate while I pretended my phone wasn't blowing up with texts I'd already blocked. 23 missed calls from Emily's number. 14 from Tyler's. I'd stopped counting after that. When do I have to see her? Jake asked. Monday. Your aunt's bringing Lily back tomorrow and we'll all sit down together. I'd rehearsed this conversation in my head at 4 a.m. while Jake finally slept. Your mom deserves a chance to explain herself to both of you. What if I don't want to hear it? Then you tell her that. I set down my coffee. But you get to make that choice, not me. He nodded, went back to murdering his breakfast. The kid had his mother's eyes, same dark brown, same intensity. Right now they looked older than 13. My phone buzzed again. Different number this time. I glanced down. Nathan, it's Carol, Emily's mom. Please call me. We need to talk about the children. I showed Jake the screen. Your grandmother. She knows? Emily probably told her version last night. I typed back. Attorney meeting Monday, 9 a.m. We can discuss custody arrangements through legal channels. Professional, distant. Everything I wasn't feeling. The response came in seconds. Don't do this to our family. I almost laughed. Our family. Like I was the one who'd spent 6 months sleeping with my wife's. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered it anyway, stepped away from the table. Mr. Reeves? This is David Kaplan. Your brother gave me your number. Right? Mark. I'd texted him last night with the basics, told him I'd call later. Apparently later had arrived without my permission. I appreciate the referral, but I already have an attorney. Patricia Frost, recommended by my company's legal department. 47 years old, specialized in high-asset divorces, available for emergency consultations on Saturday mornings. I understand. Mark thought you might want a second opinion on the property situation. Kaplan's voice had that careful neutrality lawyers cultivated. Specifically regarding the house. I watched Jake through the breakfast room window, hunched over his phone. Probably texting friends. Definitely not telling them the truth yet. What about it? Minnesota's a no-fault state, but marital misconduct can affect property division if you can prove financial harm. Your wife's been a licensed realtor for 3 years? Part-time, maybe 15 hours a week. And you're the primary breadwinner. Only breadwinner. Emily's real estate income barely covered her car payment. She sold 2 houses last year. Total commission was around $8,000. Right. Papers rustled on his end. Mark mentioned you found evidence she was apartment hunting in Boston. If she was planning to relocate and continue the relationship, that could demonstrate intent to abandon the marriage. Combined with her affair, it strengthens your position significantly. I'd already sent Patricia the laptop screenshots. Emily's search history read like a relocation checklist. Boston neighborhoods, Massachusetts bar exam requirements, cost of living comparisons. She'd even bookmarked a 2-bedroom in Cambridge, available August 1st. 3 months from now. The house is in both names, I said. We bought it 12 years ago. Current value is around $650. And the mortgage? $220 remaining. I've made every payment from my account. The joint checking we'd set up had become a joke years ago. Emily transferred money in for her car and personal expenses, nothing else. The mortgage, utilities, kids' activities, all me. That's documented? 16 years of bank statements. Kaplan made an approving sound. Mr. Reeves, I think we should meet. Today, if possible. What your wife doesn't know is that Minnesota courts look very carefully at primary caretaker status in custody arrangements. You've been the financial provider, but who handles the daily parenting? I thought about Emily's schedule. Real estate showings on weekends, networking events twice a month, yoga classes every Tuesday and Thursday morning. I did school pickups, made dinner, helped with homework, drove Lily to soccer practice. Mostly me, I said. Then we need to establish that pattern immediately. Documentation, witness statements, school records showing who attended parent-teacher conferences. Your wife's affair is relevant, but her absence from parenting responsibilities is more valuable. Jake was watching me now through the window. I held up one finger, 1 more minute. I have a meeting Monday morning with Patricia Frost. I know Patricia. She's excellent with high-conflict divorces. Kaplan paused. But I specialize in parental alienation and custody disputes. If your wife decides to fight for primary custody, you'll want someone who's handled that specific battlefield. She won't. The words came out harder than I intended. She was planning to move to Boston. She doesn't want them. People change their minds when they realize what they're losing. Kaplan's voice softened slightly. Especially when their affair partner isn't willing to leave his own family. That stopped me cold. What? Tyler Brennan. He's married, correct? 2 kids of his own? I'd known Tyler was married. Obviously. Rachel Brennan. Sweet woman who taught 3rd grade and made incredible apple pie. Their kids, Connor was 11, Sophie was 8. They lived in Minnetonka, 20 minutes away. We'd had them over for barbecues, celebrated birthdays together, spent last New Year's Eve playing board games while the kids watched movies in the basement. You think he's staying with his wife? I think most men who cheat don't leave. Kaplan let that sink in. Which means your wife might be facing the reality that she destroyed her marriage for nothing. That makes people desperate. Desperate people fight dirty, especially in custody battles. Jake was standing now, clearing his plate. We needed to check out, drive back to Adena, figure out where we'd sleep tonight. Not the house. I couldn't go back there yet. Send me your information, I said. I'll talk to Patricia about bringing you on for custody strategy. Smart. One more thing. Your brother mentioned you have family in the area. My parents are in Rochester. Emily's family is local. Start documenting every interaction with your in-laws. If they're pressuring you about reconciliation or trying to arrange contact with the children without your permission, that's relevant. You're the custodial parent right now. Emily left the marital home. Until a court says otherwise, you control access. I thought about Carol's text. Don't do this to our family. Understood. And Mr. Reeves? Don't let your wife back in that house. Not alone, not to get her things, not for any reason. If she needs belongings, she can arrange a police escort. Once you let her establish re-entry, it complicates your abandonment argument. We hung up. Jake was waiting by the elevator, backpack slung over one shoulder. He'd packed it himself last night. Clothes, toothbrush, phone charger. The essentials of a life suddenly uprooted. We good? He asked. Yeah. We need to find somewhere to stay for a few days. Not home? I shook my head. Not yet. The elevator arrived empty. We rode down in silence, checked out at the front desk, walked to my car in the parking garage. Saturday morning traffic was light. I drove without destination, just moving, while Jake stared out the window. Dad? Yeah? Is Tyler going to leave his family? Honest question. Deserved an honest answer. I don't know. Probably not. Jake processed that. So Mom did this for nothing. She made a choice. We all have to live with it now. My phone buzzed again. Mark this time. Mom and Dad want to drive up. I told them to wait until you're ready. Let me know what you need. What I needed was a time machine. Failing that, I needed my wife to have been someone different. Someone who didn't betray 16 years and 2 kids for stolen afternoons with my best friend. Where are we going? Jake asked. Good question. The house was out. Hotels felt temporary, wrong. We needed stability, routine, something that looked like normal even if it was just performance. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through contacts, found the number I wanted. Hey, it's Nathan. I know this is sudden, but I need a favor. My college roommate, Kevin, lived in Edina with his wife and teenage daughter. We'd stayed close over the years. Not best friend close, not Tyler close, but solid, reliable. Name it, Kevin said. Can Jake and I crash at your place for a few days? I'll explain everything when we get there, but I need somewhere that isn't a hotel and isn't my house. Already heard, Kevin said quietly. Tyler's wife called mine this morning. You're welcome here as long as you need. So Rachel knew, which meant Tyler's world was imploding too. Good. The hotel breakfast bar smelled like burnt coffee and industrial cleaning solution. Jake pushed scrambled eggs around his plate while I scrolled through my phone, reading the text messages that had accumulated overnight. My mother. Call me when you can. Heard from Tyler's mom. Emily's sister, Andrea. Nathan, please. Can we talk? Emily is devastated. Tyler's wife, Rachel. You bastard. You're destroying 2 families over nothing. That last one made me set the phone down harder than I meant to. Jake looked up. Mom's family? He asked. Tyler's wife. She thinks you're the bad guy. Yeah. He went back to his eggs. The kid had stopped asking questions 2 days ago, which worried me more than the crying had. 13 was too young to develop that kind of protective shell, but here we were. My phone buzzed again. Kevin Hartley, the attorney I'd retained Friday night. Can you come in today? Found something in the financial records you need to see. I texted back that I'd be there at 10, then looked at Jake. I need to meet with the lawyer. You okay hanging here for a few hours? Can I go to Grandma's? My mother lived 20 minutes away in Bloomington. You sure? She keeps asking, and she makes real food. Fair point. The hotel's idea of breakfast was making me nostalgic for gas station sandwiches. I called my mother, who said she'd pick him up in 30 minutes and that I absolutely needed to come by later because we need to discuss the situation properly. That was code for her wanting the full story. I'd given her the abbreviated version Friday night. Emily cheated, I'm divorcing her, Jake knows, Lily doesn't yet. But my mother was the kind of woman who needed every detail organized and cross-referenced before she'd accept reality. Kevin Hartley's office was in downtown Minneapolis, one of those converted warehouse buildings with exposed brick and too much natural light. His paralegal, a woman named Jennifer with reading glasses on a chain, led me to a conference room where Kevin had spread documents across a table that could have seated 12. "Nathan." He shook my hand, gestured to a chair. "Thanks for coming in on a Sunday. You said you found something." "I did." He pulled a folder toward him. "Your wife opened a separate checking account 4 months ago. It's in her name only." I'd given him access to our financial records, bank statements, credit cards, investment accounts. Everything I could download Friday night while Jake slept, and I sat in a hotel room that smelled like someone else's vacation. "How much?" I asked. "She's been transferring small amounts. 500 here, 300 there. Nothing that would trigger alerts on your joint account. Total accumulated balance is just over 18,000. The number sat there between us like something physical. $18,000, siphoned off while I was approving her grocery shopping and thinking we were building toward Jake's college fund. "Where's the money coming from?" I asked. Kevin flipped through several pages. "Her real estate commissions get deposited to the joint account, but she's been moving portions to this separate account within days. Also, there are cash deposits. Smaller amounts, 200, 350, those I can't trace. She doesn't deal in cash. Everything's cards or Venmo, which suggests someone else is giving it to her." Kevin leaned back. "I'm not saying it's definitely Tyler Brennan, but it's Tyler." My voice sounded flat even to me. "He's got family money. His parents set up trusts for him and his brother." Kevin made a note. "The timing is important. This account was opened right after you declined the Boston promotion. That suggests premeditation." I stared at the spreadsheet he'd printed out. Rows of transactions, dates, amounts. Emily's handwriting on the account application. Her signature, the same one that was on our mortgage and Jake's birth certificate and 16 years of Valentine's Day cards. "What does this mean for the divorce?" I asked. "It means she was planning to leave regardless of what you decided about Boston. This wasn't a spontaneous affair. It was an exit strategy." Kevin tapped the folder. "In Minnesota, we have equitable distribution laws. But dissipation of marital assets, essentially wasting money on an affair or hiding it in preparation for divorce, that can affect the final settlement. Can we get it back? We can argue for it. 18,000 isn't enough to derail your financial position, but combined with everything else, it builds a pattern of deception." He pulled out another document. "I also want to talk about custody." My chest tightened. "What about it?" "Emily's attorney, and she will get one, probably by tomorrow, is going to argue that you're the one who disrupted the children's stability. You removed Jake from the home. You're the one pushing for immediate divorce. You're being unreasonable and vindictive." "I caught her in bed with my best friend." "I know. But family court cares about the children's best interests, not moral judgments about adultery. Minnesota is a no-fault divorce state, which means her affair doesn't automatically disqualify her from custody." Kevin's expression was sympathetic but firm. "We need to be strategic. Document everything. Keep Jake's routine as normal as possible. Don't badmouth Emily to the kids or on social media. And we need to tell Lily soon, before Emily spins her own version." I'd been avoiding that. Lily was 10, still young enough to think her parents were infallible. Jake had been forced into reality by walking in on my phone calls Friday night, but Lily was at a sleepover when everything imploded. She'd been texting me all weekend asking when she could come home. "When?" I asked. "This week. Sooner is better than later." Kevin gathered the documents back into organized piles. "I'm also going to subpoena Tyler Brennan's financial records. If he's been giving Emily cash, there might be withdrawals that match her deposits. And if he's promised to leave his wife for her, we need to know that too. Tyler's not leaving Rachel." I said it with certainty. Tyler's whole identity was wrapped up in being the successful family man, the guy with the perfect wife, the 2 kids, the lake house in Minnetonka. He'd blown that up for the affair, but he wouldn't follow through on actually building a life with Emily. Kevin raised an eyebrow. You sound sure. I know him. Knew him. Past tense felt appropriate. He wants the excitement without the consequences. That's why he picked my wife. Built-in access, plausible deniability. No need to actually change his life. Then Emily's in for a surprise. Maybe. Or maybe she'd already figured that out and the 18,000 was her backup plan. Emily always had contingencies. I left Kevin's office at 11:30 with a stack of documents to review and a headache building behind my eyes. The sky had clouded over, threatening rain. I sat in my car in the parking garage and called my mother. Nathan. Her voice was crisp. Jake's here. We made pancakes. Thanks for getting him. Are you coming over? Yeah. Kevin had some things to show me. Silence. Then, I spoke to Tyler's mother this morning. Of course she had. Linda Brennan and my mother had been friends for 20 years, ever since Tyler and I roomed together sophomore year and discovered our parents lived 15 minutes apart. They'd done book club together, volunteered at the same food shelf, attended each other's holiday parties. What did she say? I asked. That you're being unreasonable, that Tyler made a mistake, but you're overreacting by cutting him off completely. My mother's tone was carefully neutral. I told her that if my son caught his wife in bed with someone, that person would be lucky to only be cut off. Something in my chest loosened slightly. Thanks. Linda doesn't want to believe Tyler would do this. She's convinced there's more to the story. There isn't. I know. A pause. Rachel called me too. Tyler's wife. The woman who texted me that I was destroying 2 families. What did she want? To tell me that you're lying, that Tyler would never cheat on her, that Emily is the one who seduced him, that you're making everything up because you're angry about the Boston job. The audacity of it stunned me into silence. Rachel knew. She had to know. Tyler had been at our house the night I caught them. He'd driven there in his own car, walked in through the front door like he'd done hundreds of times before. And Rachel was claiming I'd invented the whole thing. Did you tell her I wasn't lying? I asked. I told her that my son doesn't lie, and that if she wanted to stay in denial about her husband, that was her choice. My mother's voice sharpened. But she's not calling you a liar to my face. I leaned my head back against the seat. Outside, someone's car alarm was going off, the sound echoing through the concrete structure. Mom, I said, this is going to get worse before it gets better. I know. A pause. Come over. Jake wants to show you something. The first thing I did Monday morning was call Tyler's wife. Rachel Brennan answered on the 3rd ring, her voice bright and cheerful. Nathan, I was just thinking about you. How are the kids holding up? I'd rehearsed this conversation in my head all weekend. Kept it simple, direct. Rachel, I need you to check Tyler's phone. Look at his messages with Emily. The deleted ones, too. There are apps that can recover them. Silence stretched between us. Then, Nathan, we've been over this. Tyler explained everything. Emily's been upset about the Boston thing, and he was just trying to help her process. I found them in bed together, Rachel. In my bed. On Friday afternoon. No. Tyler was at work on Friday. He had back-to-back meetings until 5. Check his calendar, I said. Really check it. Look at the pattern over the last 6 months. Every time I had a late meeting or a site visit, Tyler had a gap in his schedule. She hung up. I stared at my phone for 30 seconds, then forwarded her the screenshots my attorney had pulled from Emily's laptop. Text messages. Calendar coordination. A particularly damning exchange from 3 weeks ago where Emily complained about Tyler's cologne lingering on her skin and how she'd had to shower twice before I got home. My phone rang 4 minutes later. Rachel's voice was different now. Flat. Send me everything you have. By Tuesday afternoon, the fallout had spread through our social circle like a chemical spill. Tyler's firm put him on administrative leave. Apparently, Rachel had shown up at his office with printouts of the messages and caused what his managing partner later described as a significant disruption to workplace morale. My mother called me 6 times. I let it go to voicemail until the 6th call, when she left a message saying she'd driven to Emily's sister's house and had words with anyone who'd listen. Apparently, Emily was staying there, and according to my mother, looked like she'd been crying for 3 days straight. I felt nothing about that. Just a distant clinical observation that Emily had always been able to cry on command when it suited her purposes. Jake came home from school that afternoon with his jaw tight and his backpack slung over one shoulder. He went straight to his room without speaking. I gave him 20 minutes, then knocked on his door. Go away. Not how this works, I said, and opened the door anyway. He was sitting on his bed, still in his shoes, staring at his phone. When he looked up, his eyes were red. Everyone knows. I sat down in his desk chair. How? Tyler's daughter Madison posted something on Instagram. She didn't say what happened, just that her dad was a liar and her parents were getting divorced, and she hoped everyone who helped wreck her family choked on their guilt. Then someone commented asking what happened, and he shrugged. It spread. Did anyone say anything to you? Coach pulled me aside after practice, asked if I was okay, if I needed to talk. Jake's voice cracked. I told him I was fine, but everyone was looking at me like they felt sorry for me. I understood that feeling. The weight of other people's pity, their curiosity dressed up as concern. You want to switch schools? He looked up, surprised. What? It's not ideal timing with high school next year, but if you want a fresh start somewhere, people don't know the story, we can make that happen. Jake was quiet for a long moment. Then he shook his head. No, I didn't do anything wrong. Mom and Tyler did. Why should I have to leave? Something in my chest loosened. You're right. You shouldn't. Is Lily coming home soon? Thursday, I said. Your aunt's dropping her off after school. Does she know yet? Your aunt was going to tell her tonight. Age-appropriate version. I watched Jake's face, the way he was processing everything with that careful, measured expression he'd inherited from me. You doing okay? Really? I don't know. He picked at a thread on his bedspread. I keep thinking about all the times Tyler was here, teaching me how to throw a curveball, helping with my science project last year. Was any of it real? I didn't have a good answer for that. I think people can care about someone and still make selfish choices that hurt them. Tyler probably did care about you. He just cared more about what he wanted. That's messed up. Yeah, I said. It is. Wednesday morning, my attorney called with an update. Emily's lawyer had filed a motion requesting temporary spousal support and asking for a 60-day extension on financial discovery. Standard delay tactic, Patricia Owens said. Her voice was crisp, professional, no nonsense. They're hoping you'll get impatient and agree to a worse settlement just to move things along. Don't take the bait. What about the separate account? We're still working on getting full transaction records. The bank's been cooperative, but there's a process. What we do know is that Emily made 3 cash deposits in the last month alone. $2,400, $1,800, and $3,200. All just under the $5,000 reporting threshold. I leaned back in my office chair, staring at the ceiling tiles. She was planning to run. Looks that way. The question is whether she was planning to run with Tyler or away from both of you. Patricia paused. How's Tyler's divorce proceeding? His wife filed Monday. I don't know details beyond that. Might be worth finding out. If Tyler's facing his own financial reckoning, he may not be the safety net Emily was counting on. After we hung up, I pulled up Tyler's LinkedIn profile. Still listed as senior vice president at his firm, but the currently employed status had changed sometime in the last 24 hours. Either he'd been fired or he'd resigned before they could fire him. Hard to say which. My desk phone rang. Internal extension. I almost didn't answer, but old habits die hard. Nathan Reeves. Nathan, it's David. David Paulson, my boss, director of engineering. You have a minute? Sure. Come up to my office. The walk to the executive floor took 3 minutes. David's assistant waved me through without the usual pleasantries, which told me she knew something was wrong. Small company. Word traveled fast. David was standing by his window when I entered, hands in his pockets, looking out at the parking lot below. He turned when I closed the door. Sit down. I sat. I heard about Emily, he said. And Tyler. I'm sorry. Thank you. I also heard you turned down the Boston position because of family stability. He sat down across from me, not behind his desk. The casual arrangement meant to put me at ease. It didn't work. That offer's still on the table if you want it. Different circumstances now. I'd expected this conversation, just not this soon. I appreciate that, but my kids are here. Jake's starting high school next year. Lily's got her soccer team. Moving them now would be... I understand. David nodded slowly. But I want you to really think about it. Not just knee-jerk reaction. The Boston office needs someone with your experience, and frankly, a fresh start might be good for all of you. New city, new schools, away from all the people who know what happened. Running away doesn't solve anything. No, David agreed. But sometimes a tactical retreat gives you space to rebuild without everyone watching. I thought about Jake's words. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I have to leave? I'll think about it, I said, because that's what you say to your boss when he's trying to help. But right now, I need to focus on getting my kids through this. Fair enough? David stood, signaling the end of the conversation. Offer stands. No expiration date. And Nathan? Take whatever time you need. We'll manage. I left his office feeling hollowed out. The Boston job would have meant a $40,000 raise, equity in the division, a corner office with a view of the harbor. Everything Emily had wanted. She could have just asked for a divorce, could have been honest about wanting to restart her career, about feeling stifled in Minneapolis. Instead, she'd chosen this, the affair, the secret planning, the betrayal that burned through both our families like wildfire. My phone buzzed with a text from my sister. Told Lily tonight. She cried for an hour. Wants to talk to you. I called immediately. Lily's voice was small when she answered. Daddy? Hey, sweetheart. Aunt Jennifer said you wanted to talk? Is it true? About Mom and Uncle Tyler? Uncle Tyler. He'd been Uncle Tyler for 10 years, ever since Lily was born. Present at her baptism, her birthday parties, her soccer games. Yeah, I said. It's true. Are you sad? Such a simple question, such an impossible answer. I'm sad that our family is changing, but I'm going to make sure you and Jake are okay. That's my job. I want to come home. Thursday, I promised. One more day. After we hung up, I sat in my car in the parking garage for 20 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, engine off. Thinking about Emily's face when I'd told her about turning down Boston, the flash of fury she'd tried to hide, how I'd interpreted it as disappointment in lost opportunity, when really it was rage at a ruined plan. She'd wanted me to take that job, needed me to take it, because Boston was far enough away that she could have disappeared into her new life, without the constant risk of running into people who knew both families. She could have restarted her legal career, maybe kept Tyler as a side piece, maybe not. Either way, the distance would have given her freedom. Instead, I'd stayed. Trapped her in Minneapolis with her choices. My phone buzzed again. Rachel Brennan this time. Tyler moved out this morning, took his clothes and his golf clubs, left everything else. Kids won't talk to him. I stared at the message, then typed back, "I'm sorry." Her response came immediately. "Don't be. You tried to warn me. I didn't listen." Three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Emily keeps calling him. He's not answering. Thought you should know." I thanked her and put my phone away. The pieces were falling into place. Tyler was out, Emily was alone, and the life she'd been building in secret was collapsing faster than she could run from it. Thursday afternoon, I stood in the driveway watching Jennifer's car pull up. Lily was out before it came to a complete stop, backpack bouncing against her shoulders as she ran toward me. I caught her in a hug that felt like the first real breath I'd taken in 6 days. "Missed you, kiddo," I said into her hair. "Missed you too." She pulled back, studying my face with those serious eyes. "Are you really okay?" "Getting there." I grabbed her bag from Jennifer, who gave me a tight smile and drove off without lingering. She'd done her part, kept Lily safe, told her the truth gently, brought her home. We'd never been close, but I'd remember this. Inside, Jake was at the kitchen table doing homework. He looked up when Lily came in, and something passed between them. Some sibling communication I wasn't privy to. Then Lily crossed to him and hugged him hard. He hugged her back. "We're good," Jake said quietly. "We're going to be good." I wanted to believe him. The divorce took 11 months. Emily fought for joint custody, for half the house, for alimony. Her attorney painted me as controlling and vindictive, claimed I'd isolated her from the children out of spite. Patricia demolished that argument with school records, showing I'd attended every parent-teacher conference for 3 years while Emily made 2. With Jake's robotics coach testifying that I was the only parent he'd ever met. With Lily's soccer schedule, every practice and game, my name on the pickup list, and Emily's nowhere. The separate bank account came out in discovery. So did the cash deposits. Tyler finally admitted under deposition that he'd given Emily nearly $30,000 over 6 months. For her future, he said, to help her restart her career. The judge was unimpressed. In the end, Emily got supervised visitation every other weekend and 1 weeknight dinner. I got the house, primary custody, and she got to keep her secret savings account minus half, which came to $24,000 that went straight into college funds for Jake and Lily. No alimony. She'd been capable of working the entire marriage and chose not to. Her choice. Her consequences. Tyler's divorce was uglier. Rachel took him for everything she could, and she had better lawyers. Last I heard, he was living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Bloomington and working for a competitor at half his previous salary. His kids wouldn't talk to him. He'd traded 20 years of marriage and his children's respect for 6 months of afternoons with my wife. Emily moved to Boston anyway, 8 months after the divorce finalized. Got a job at a mid-tier firm doing contract law. She calls the kids every Sunday at 7, never misses a payment on her child support, and sees them 1 week each summer. Lily goes willingly. Jake stopped going after the first year. He's 17 now, and the court won't force him. 2 years after that Friday afternoon, I was loading the dishwasher when Lily came into the kitchen holding her phone. Mom wants to know if she can come to my tournament next month, the regional finals. I kept my voice neutral. What do you want? I don't know. She sat at the table, same spot where Jake used to do homework before he left for college. It feels weird, like she wants to be soccer mom now, but she wasn't before. You get to decide, I said. Whatever you choose, I'll support it. She was quiet for a moment, then, can you tell her maybe another game? Just not this one. I'll tell her. After Lily went upstairs, I texted Emily the message. Her response was immediate. You're turning her against me. I didn't reply. There was nothing to say that wouldn't start a fight. and I'd promised myself when the divorce finalized that I was done fighting. Emily had made her choices. I'd made mine. The kids were making theirs. 3 years after everything fell apart, I was having coffee with Rachel Brennan. We'd reconnected accidentally, ran into each other at Target, both reaching for the same brand of coffee. Laughed about it. Got to talking. Turned out we had more in common than our ex's betrayal. She'd gone back to teaching full-time, was coaching youth soccer, had rebuilt her life piece by piece just like I had. Connor starts college in the fall, she said, stirring sugar into her latte. University of Wisconsin. He's excited. Jake's loving Ann Arbor, I said. Engineering program's brutal, but he's thriving. They were friends before. Rachel's voice went quiet. Our kids. I miss that sometimes. Yeah. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Rachel said, Tyler reached out last month. Wanted to meet Connor for lunch. Connor said no. How'd Tyler take it? Not well. She smiled, but there was no humor in it. He doesn't understand why his choices have permanent consequences. Thinks enough time should erase what he did. I thought about Emily's calls to Lily. Always perfectly timed, always appropriate. Never acknowledging that she'd chosen her own ambitions over her children's stability. Never apologizing for the affair, only for how things worked out. Some people never get it, I said. No, Rachel agreed. They don't. 5 years after that Friday, I stood in Jake's college apartment helping him pack for his move to Seattle. He'd landed a job at a tech company, starting salary that made my eyes water. 22 years old and already surpassing everything I'd built. You gonna be okay? He asked, taping up a box of books, with Lily heading to college in the fall? Empty nest doesn't scare me, I said. I'm proud of you both. That's what matters. He nodded, then stopped packing. Dad, can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret not taking the Boston job, back before everything happened? I thought about it. Really thought about it. That promotion had been the catalyst, but not the cause. Emily's affair would have happened regardless, maybe in Boston, maybe somewhere else. The dissatisfaction that drove her to Tyler existed independent of geography. No, I said. If I'd taken it, I would have spent the next decade wondering if the move caused the divorce. This way, I know the truth. Your mother made her choice. I made mine. And my choice gave you and Lily stability when you needed it most. Jake considered that. She called me last week, asked if I'd come visit her in Boston after graduation. What did you say? I said maybe. He resumed packing. I'm not ready to forgive her, but I'm tired of being angry. That's fair. You ever talk to Tyler? No. I handed him another box. Nothing to say. Good. Jake sealed the box with more force than necessary. He doesn't deserve your words. 7 years after Emily destroyed our marriage, I walked Lily down the aisle at her wedding. Emily was there, sitting in the third row on the bride's side. She'd brought a date, some attorney from her firm, pleasant enough guy who looked uncomfortable being surrounded by people who knew the story. She cried during the ceremony. I didn't know if the tears were genuine or performance. Didn't much care anymore. At the reception, Lily made a point of thanking me in her speech. To my dad, who showed me what real love looks like, showing up, being present, choosing us every single day. Everything I know about commitment, I learned from you. Emily left before the cake was cut. Later, standing at the bar waiting for drinks, Rachel appeared beside me. She'd come with her new husband, a kind man who taught history at her school. They'd been married 2 years. Beautiful wedding, she said. Lily planned every detail herself. She's got her mother's organizational skills, thankfully without the... I stopped. Without the betrayal? Rachel finished. You can say it. We're past pretending. I smiled. Yeah, that. Connor's engaged, she said. Getting married next spring. Tyler asked if he could come. What did Connor say? That his real father would be walking his mother down the aisle and there wasn't room for ghosts. I raised my glass. To our kids, for being better than we were. Rachel clinked her glass against mine. To our kids, for surviving our mistakes. 10 years after that Friday afternoon, I sat in my backyard watching the sun set over the garden I'd planted when the divorce finalized. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs, things that required patience and consistent care. Things that rewarded you for showing up. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Nathan, it's Emily. I hadn't heard her voice in over a year. She sounded older. Tired. What do you need? I asked. Nothing. She paused. Lily sent me pictures from the wedding. She looked beautiful. She did. I wanted to thank you. For raising them right. For being there when I wasn't. The apology I'd wanted for 10 years, arriving a decade too late to matter. They raised themselves, I said. I just provided the stability. Nathan, Her voice cracked. I need you to know I'm sorry, for all of it. I was selfish and cruel, and I destroyed something good because I was too afraid to admit I was unhappy. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Emily? That I forgive you? That it's all water under the bridge? I watched a cardinal land on my tomato cage. You made your choices. I made mine. The kids made theirs. We all lived with the consequences. Are you happy? She asked quietly. I thought about Jake in Seattle, thriving in his career. Lily starting her marriage with clear eyes and a full heart, no illusions about what commitment required. I thought about Rachel's friendship, built on shared survival, about my garden, my quiet house, my life rebuilt from scorched earth. Yeah, I said. I am. Good. She was crying now. That's good. You deserved better than what I gave you. We both deserved better than what we became, I said. But we got through it. After we hung up, I sat in the growing dark and thought about that Friday afternoon. The champagne bottle, the bakery box with its pink ribbon, the sound of my life ending and beginning in the same moment. I'd learned something in the decades since. Betrayal reveals character, but survival defines it. Emily had shown me who she was when she chose Tyler over our family. But I'd shown myself who I was when I chose my kids over bitterness, stability over revenge, rebuilding over collapse. The cardinal took flight, a flash of red against the dimming sky. I went inside, locked the door, and started planting my garden for next year. Some things end. Some things grow. The trick is knowing which seeds are worth planting. Epilogue. The affair didn't destroy me. It destroyed the illusion I'd been living in. The belief that marriage was a contract that couldn't be broken if both parties just tried hard enough. But illusions, once shattered, make space for truth. The truth was simple. Some people will betray you. Some will choose their desires over your trust. Some will burn down everything you've built together and walk away without looking back. But the truth was also this. You survive. You rebuild. You learn that love isn't about perfection. It's about showing up when it's hard, choosing commitment when it costs you, being present when absence would be easier. Emily taught me what love isn't. My kids taught me what it is. And in the end, that was the lesson worth learning. Not that people can betray you, but that you can survive the betrayal and build something better from the ashes. Not that trust can be broken, but that you can learn to trust yourself again. Not that families fall apart, but that the pieces that matter will find their way back together. I didn't get the marriage I thought I had, but I got the life I was meant to live. One built on truth instead of illusion, on presence instead of promises, on the daily choice to show up and do the work. That Friday afternoon destroyed everything I thought I knew. It also showed me everything I needed to learn. And for that, in a strange and painful way, I'm grateful.